So today we're going to talk about gravity and the solar system. So what is gravity? It's a force of attraction between objects due to their masses and distances between them. Basically, when you jump in the air, your feet are attracted back to the ground, meaning the ground wants them to hit. So when you jump up, you go down. Kind of like the saying, what goes up must come down. Objects with a greater mass or greater masses have greater force of attraction between them. Okay? So basically, if something has a higher mass, it's going to have a higher force of attraction, meaning if I drop a bowling ball versus a little Nerf ball, it's going to be more attracted because it's heavier and it has a greater mass. And something to understand is gravity keeps objects in orbit around other larger objects, such as the Earth has its gravity and its gravitational pull keeping the satellites in orbit around it. Just like the space has gravity and it allows the planets, such as Earth, to be in orbit around the sun. So Johannes Kepler developed a series of laws, and they're known as Kepler's laws. Basically, Kepler, here on the right, made many discoveries about the motion of the planets and the fact that they were moving in general. Those became known as Kepler's laws of planetary motion. They're very intricate, but we're going to learn the few basics about them. One of the most important things that Kepler came up with was the fact that objects that orbit the sun follow an elliptical orbit, instead of just a circular pattern. That was what people such as Ptolemy had thought in the past. They had all believed it was circles upon circles, and even going into the Copernicus model, it was still considered to possibly be circles. Well, Kepler decided that it wasn't, and that it was actually an elliptical orbit. So if you look at this, you'll notice an ellipse is a fancy word for what shape? Yes, the oval. So an elliptical orbit is an oval. So there are 2 points that are on this elliptical orbit in reference to the sun. You have aphelion, which is the point farthest away, away, aphelion from the sun. And then you have perihelion, which is the point closest to the sun. Remember, A is away. That'll help you get them right in the future. All right, so there are 3 main laws. The first law is that planets' orbit are elliptical. They are an ellipse and not a circle. That was very big, specifically going back to the Ptolemaic theory or model. The second law was that planets move slower at the aphelion point and faster at the perihelion point. If you've ever ridden a ride, say maybe like the Scrambler at maybe a carnival or a fair, it's the one that you sit in and it swings you out and then it pulls you back real fast. It's the same kind of idea. So when they are at aphelion, on this picture it's farthest away because here's your sun, it's going to move slow, 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 slower, quick, 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 super fast, and it moves you almost like it's spinning you onto the other side. So the perihelion point is going to be much faster. Again, closest here. So it's going to move slowly, slowly starts to pick up, and then it gets really close and it swings it around. The third law is that the farther the planet is from the sun, the longer its period of revolution, meaning they didn't all move at the same rate. He determined that planets such as Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, those are much further away than Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and therefore he realized in this elliptical orbit that it was going to take them much longer to revolve around the sun, which means they had a longer year. Keeping in mind, Earth has 365 1/4 days to equal 1 revolution. Anything in front of Earth, closer to the sun, takes less time, and anything further than that takes longer. So, how does gravity affect planetary motion? Well, there's something known as centripetal force. And basically, the centripetal force is what allows the planets to stay in their orbit. The idea is that you have gravity and inertia playing in tune to one another. So if you notice this little character up here, he's spinning in circles, but he's not really going anywhere. So inertia in this picture right here is the motion of the planet moving forward. We know the planet goes this way, but gravity is the motion that it's going to pull something towards the center. So in this case, this is our moon, this is our Earth. The question is, why does centripetal force allow the moon to stay in revolution around us or to stay in orbit? the moon moves forward, but it's having this other force pull on it, which while it's moving forward allows it to start to curve. And so creates this circular pattern, and working together, these two create what's known as centripetal force. So, how did our solar system form? Well, it's believed that it all started with a solar nebula. A solar nebula is a cloud of gas and dust found way out in space. This right here is just one of many pictures that are found of solar nebulas. They don't look all exact, but that is one example. So what happened? Over time, a solar nebula collapsed, and when it collapsed, it became very, very dense. And so the center of that nebula started to heat up, and basically as it heated up, it basically started to rotate or spin. And that's when the nuclear fusion occurred. And when that happened, you know that's the birth of a star, basically. So a star is born at the center of the spinning nebula. In this case, our solar system, that star would be the sun. As time went on, solid matter was pulled close to the forming of that solar nebula, and those items that were pulled in that were solids eventually became our terrestrial planets. And then those are explained because that's why they're solid, they're rocky, they're dense. And then the further planets out here are known as the gas giants. So what happened is that gas matter started to combine, and basically it didn't get pulled in as far because of what it was. It wasn't a solid. So the gas was further out, and it was pulled in to create the gas giants, or so they believe. Then we have what we know as planetesimals. This is a vocabulary word. So this is a picture from your book. Basically what happened is dust grains collided over time in this spinning of the solar nebula being in the middle of the sun in this case. And then we had all these particles start to stick together. Over time, they started to grow and eventually grew and grew and grew. And as they did, the planetesimal formed from the collision of all those little pieces just running into one another over time. So by definition, a planetesimal would be known as eventually combining and forming what we would know today as our larger planets.